This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, don't forget to join my Instagram Live every Thursday evening at 8:45 p.m. Jody, why such an odd time? Well, it's because that's when I'm done driving my kids back and forth to school and to sports and to everything else. And it's 15 minutes before I go to bed because I go to bed early. So join me on my personal Instagram. That's at Jody Fisher. Instagram Live every Thursday night at 8:45. It's just 15 minutes. We talk about PR. We talk about what's going on in the world. Maybe we grab something out of current events. We always play our favorite game, which is Why Is That News?, where I grab a story that I've seen in the media. I try to dissect it and figure out why it landed in the media that it landed in the way it did, and maybe what went into pitching that story, what elements that the PR person might have had to offer up to the reporter to turn it into a story. So again, all that to say, Instagram Live every Thursday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you there. Now on with our show for today. We got a great guest. Jennifer Kaplan is the founder and president of Evolve PR and Marketing, Arizona's largest public relations firm. Since launching the agency in 2010, she has led Evolve's growth for a small client-focused team into a powerhouse of 25 full-time publicists serving more than 100 clients across local and national markets. Her leadership and impact have earned her numerous honors, including the inaugural Hugh Downs School of Human Communication Alumni of the Year Award, a Phoenix Business Journal's 40 Under 40, and AZ Business Magazine's Most Influential Women in Arizona Business. Jennifer, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you. I love talking PR.
Those credentials are very impressive. And yes, I know who Hugh Downs was. I think.
Yeah, that changes over the generations, but thank you for giving me that. Yes.
When I make the reference at the end of the show to the Inside the Actors Studio, you know, some of our guests are like, who, what? But I think you might know that one too.
Yes, totally. No, it's, and actually he lived here for a little bit in his later part of life in Arizona. So,
didn't know that. Okay, very good, very good. So tell us about your agency. You have, talk about growth, right? Over the last 15 years, you go from, I'm going to call it zero, but go from start to what you've got now. Tell us about that journey.
Yeah. Well, I had the entrepreneurial spirit in my blood, studied communications with an emphasis in public relations. So I had that. I did have a firm for 5 years prior with a business partner. Sold my equity to her to go on my own. But at that point, it was zero. I didn't have employees that I took with me. Did have some clients that stayed with me, but maybe 5-ish, 7. And being from the Arizona and Scottsdale, Phoenix area, kind of leaned into, you know, my knowledge of being from the Valley, and had just the opportunity to build the business pretty quickly. Yes, started with one, and then 6 months later hired the second. And then from there, just kind of that trajectory was continuing. And I kind of look at it and I'm like, 25, that's a lot. And the reason why we can say the largest PR firm is because that is all we do. So there are full service agencies, to give them some cred and shout out as well, that might have 60, 80 people. But they're doing websites and branding and graphics and all of the things that fall under marketing. But we are the largest solely focused on PR as not a full service agency.
So give me your definition of PR, because, you know, you get into these conversations sometimes with people, and I think everybody thinks in their head, well, it's media relations. But you and I both know it can be just focused on that. It can be that plus other things. So what do you see public relations PR as?
Yeah, I love that question. So obviously the traditional, you know, we reach out to TV, radio, print, online to get our clients exposure in those mediums. And we do that via press release, pitches, text messages, depending on our relationships with them. but we're working to get our client's name out that way. The marketing, as I define it, because marketing is in our name and that's a huge umbrella, is community outreach and cross promotional opportunities. So, what other ways can we get our client's name out outside of just that traditional media? And oftentimes it can lead to a PR opportunity in the news and media. So maybe we're collaborating with another business that complements theirs. Maybe we're having a networking event at their business. Maybe we're coordinating a ribbon cutting and inviting governor, mayor, city council, really being an extension of the team. And talking about a minute ago in regards to the full service firms and what they do, we're not doing that, but we're really doing everything else from a marketing perspective. That the PR, again, obviously influencers is a big one. While we don't handle or manage their social media, influencers and reaching out to influencers the same way we do with the media in an earned perspective is something very valuable. But, knowing the landscape in and around our clients, and we work locally and nationally, so wherever that may be, knowing the landscape of the environment and who their target demographic is, maybe there's collaborations and, things that we're coordinating to enhance their business and get awareness through other relationships.
Great explanation. And I love the way you approach the influencers as the same way you would approach a reporter. Because I think there's also a lot of trepidation from clients and from other people you work with, and they have, again, just like they can misunderstand what PR people do, they can misunderstand how influencers work. And they all work according to their own rules, right? They all have their own deals and what they expect. And really, it's just interfacing with them to figure out which ones make the most sense, right?
Yep. Which ones make the most sense? And then we actually invested in a tool that allows us to see the engagement. And what we did a few years ago was maybe even like 5 years ago plus, is scooping up all these influencers and seeing that maybe in some situations we weren't getting the results or the quote unquote ROI, maybe. But that's because maybe their engagement, that while we saw 500,000 followers, maybe their followers weren't local, or they weren't real or whatnot. So seeing the engagement level, maybe we do want that person with 500,000 followers, but we might also want a micro influencer that has a great engagement, and we're able to educate our clients on that as well. And it is the same with the media. There are some day parts of TV shows or programming or outlets that, while it might seem hyper local or smaller, really have a good following within a certain community or area. So obviously we see it a little more on the influencer side, and that tool allows us to see a little behind the curtain.
That is great that you can have something to draw on to give you some metrics, because we all know the clients love metrics when they can't wrap, we've never had to explain the value of a front page New York Times article. But as you go down let's call it the media food chain there, explaining the value of this hit or that hit gets a little more complicated. And we sometimes have to fall back on those metrics. And those metrics can be hard to come by, right?
Yeah, totally. And there's some publications that might say they have this really high distribution. I'm like, I don't see that one anywhere. Like, I don't know where they're sending that, but you can't really pick it up anywhere. So yeah, I think that part of it is also our diligence to direct the client where we see a good opportunity. And at the end of the day too, they're taking their time and their resources out of their business to do the interview or show up at a studio or provide assets to us, whatever that may be. So we want to make sure that that value is there. But yeah, sometimes it's hard. I mean, we could even nail a great higher profile hit and it doesn't translate. So some of that's the message, and some of that's how they're positioning themselves to get the movement from the reader or the listener. But yeah, those numbers are also valuable, though. We have tools to give that to our clients.
Yeah. Whether you're talking with social media influencers or whether you're pitching reporters, I think the other constant, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, is the meaningful story, the authenticity of the story that you are telling. How do you work with clients to dig those authentic storylines out, and encourage them to maybe, skew away from the talking points or the selling points and instead tell a story?
Yeah, that's a great question because when we're positioning some of our clients as a thought leader and expert, or there's something that's topical or seasonal, it can be very structured to talking points, legal, medical, real estate. But we want to make sure that it's educational, informational, something that you're giving in a way to the reader or the viewer to make them want to consume more. Like, wow, I just heard this person talking about this or read an article about that. And I need to get more. They sound, like I want the client to give a little bit of, maybe not all the secret sauce of the recipe, but enough to where the person consuming that media is motivated to get more and call them or go to their website or whatever it is. On the nonprofit side, I think it's important to convey the impact of what that nonprofit is doing. And we've seen clients get donations, get volunteers, get a call from someone who said they didn't know they existed and they need their services. So on the nonprofit side, I hate to say like pull at the heartstrings, but they really need to emphasize the impact that they're making through their, whatever their nonprofit is about and whatever their mission is. And the storytelling is really important, and that's something that that's what our task is. That's what our job is. But then we've got to channel our client, to make sure they stay on track with that when they are in those interviews.
It's a good point, and I think, and I'm not trying to sell what we do, even though I'm always trying to sell what we do. Um, to have someone outside of the four walls of the organization who can look at the thing that they're doing that they may take for granted, right? And I experience this with my nonprofit clients too. And they take for granted this program that they might be running that's doing a really good job and, living their mission, but because they're this close to it, they never think it's a story. And we stand back and go, hold on, that's something special. How do you point that out to them?
Totally. Well, I mean, it's our job to do research on their company and not take it beyond. We want to take it beyond just maybe a meeting or, just something surface they might share with us. It's our job to extract some of those layers. And really, I think it comes down to knowing what the media wants. In order, like, we also want that story to get picked up. So we want to package it with a bow and everything. So the way they're seeing it is maybe a little more one-dimensional at times. And so that is our job, so we're maybe researching more, asking more questions, trying, and it's true. I mean, you're so right. Sometimes they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even see that. And going back to kind of the first part of us answering the question too, I want to add that it's also really great when our clients have a testimonial or someone who can talk about it outside of the client themselves. I think that moves people as well, because I'm going to say the best thing about my company. But if you want to talk to one of my clients, let them share what their experience is. So I think our clients should do the same thing. Who are you impacting? Who are you helping? What are you doing in your business? So we always, do you have someone who can talk about that? Even if it's a lawyer, how you help them, or a realtor, how you help them sell their house in a certain situation, or of course the nonprofits. So I also think it's important to share when you can the people around the company or organization that you're actually helping and impacting.
Yeah, and the nonprofit stories, maybe maybe a little easier for us to tell because there are beneficiaries that are involved, right? You can point at a person who's receiving services or has benefited in some way, and it's a tug at the heartstrings, like you said, kind of story. With a for-profit client or with a more of a business client, it might be harder to find that kind of a narrative, and it really um, it sort of looks to us to make them a little vulnerable. I guess ask the clients to be vulnerable. And that's a hard thing for clients to do sometimes, right? Do you have strategies on how you get them to sort of, peel back the curtain a little bit and put themselves out there?
Well, number one, media training. Because I think that having that opportunity to coach them and role play, because it can't be a commercial, what we said at the very beginning, it's earned media. So it's not a commercial, it's not an ad. And so if we also want the media to say, wow, that was a great interview, we want your client back on this time or that time to talk about XYZ again. So we also want them to impress the media. So the media wants them, to do another story with them. So I feel like us providing our clients with the guidance in order to set them up for success is really important. And we know that, a live interview, even if it is over the phone or in studio or whatnot with a TV station, it can be nerve wracking. And someone who's extremely versed in their business might forget, some of the elements. So we try to prep and prepare and go to the segments and be there for them during that process to really set them up for the best possible scenario so they don't forget what they're doing and how they do it.
Oh yeah. If people only knew what we do behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, right.
When you're putting together those stories with clients, do you have um, a way that you do it, a strategy that you do it? I mean, creating stories that are memorable and impactful and authentic. Do you have sort of a go-to process that you use with clients?
Um, I think we kind of cater it based on the client's business, who our spokespeople are, what they might have going on at that time. If it's kind of a nothing and they're not giving us anything, we really need to lean in and be the ones to take more of the initiative. And then there are clients who are just constantly feeding us stuff that they have going on that we're just taking, massaging. So, I'm actually probably a little non-traditional in this sense where I say you don't have to fit into our box. I mean, we've got guardrails and we've got obviously systems and processes, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I don't want to put them into our box and maybe stifle them or, miss something that maybe we didn't see because we're trying to stay within this parameter on our end. So, we always have, our agenda and our talking points and research we did and things like that. But we try to, be prepared and have that research that we've done and know what the media is looking for and be smart on our clients' businesses so we can try and extract those things.
What do you think makes a story into something that media want to cover? I mean, memorable, impactful. Are there elements that you like to draw on? And maybe there are different ones depending on what type of client it is, for profit, not for profit, different industries, different verticals. What makes a story memorable and impactful
Compelling.
in your mind? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so on one hand, I know I said this a few minutes ago too, but educational and informational, I think, is one aspect of it. And interactive and visual if it is TV. And on the print side, obviously, it's a little more static, so it's harder to jump off the page. But we at least want to make sure that, we are providing as much as we can in the space that we have to put it in, that, gives the person who's reading it a desire to, want more. But I feel like, uh, in collaboration with the media that we're pitching, if they're interested in a story, clearly we did something in that pitch or press release to get their attention for their particular platform. So really working with the media to make sure that we're on point with what their editorial is, as well as what we want to make sure gets conveyed. Because there's a certain point where you have to let them do their job. They don't let us have that editorial control yet. Maybe one day they'll let us. But we have to let them do their job. So I think it really is in that preparation for the media and what we're pitching or isn't included in a press release. Because the media sometimes will run with what they think, and we're like, oh, that headline went with that. That's not what I would have chosen. But and the media is moving fast and hard. They're busy. They're in some situations short-staffed, or juggling their freelancers writing for all different outlets and publications. So we want to make their job as easy as possible, to build that relationship with them too, and that trust.
For sure. So 15 years into Evolve PR and marketing, what is the next 15 looking like for you?
Oh gosh. Hopefully we can double ourselves. Yeah, I think, you bring up an interesting topic looking into the future. I feel like 15 years ago, there was, what does media look like in the future? And I think technology has definitely been more of the impact versus like TV's not gone. And I don't think TV is going to go away in 15 years. But I think as an organization, we need to really be aware of what the trends are in the industry so we can make sure we stay relevant, whether that is something with AI, of course, the chat GPTs and all of that, and just knowing the direction as soon as we can, so we're not left behind as to what the future is of our industry. And I think all industries have to do that. So that's something that I think, in addition to just growth, is being really intentional on what is happening in the industry.
Love that word, intentional. I think not enough people think that way.
Yeah, and I've got to remind myself, as well, to be that way. But presenting ourselves with that attitude, I think is helpful.
Well, we will definitely keep tabs on you and Evolve. Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing your story here today. We are not
Thank
done
you.
with you yet, however. We are going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor studio. I told you that reference is going to be lost on some people, but not us, Jennifer, not us.
That's right.
But we ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. With your indulgence, Jennifer Kaplan, let's begin with rapid fire question number 1. What is your favorite news source?
Probably Instagram, but don't tell anyone I said that.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm scrolling and I'm getting,
you.
because I follow a lot of news outlets. So I'm seeing what they post, whether it's our local news media, even hyper locals to national. So I would say that's a big part of my news source.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's see what your answer is then to rapid fire question number 2, which is, what is your favorite social media platform?
Instagram. Even though I was my age would say Facebook, I probably go a little more Insta.
I'm still struggling with Facebook. I can't. I don't know.
Agree.
I don't find a lot of value coming through it is my issue. Whereas I can still find a little bit of value in between all the ads on Instagram. But
yes,
hey, these are your questions, not mine. Rapid fire question number 3, coffee or alcohol?
Alcohol. I don't drink coffee, but I do love some champagne.
There you go, in the Arizona heat, right?
Cools you off.
Rapid fire question number 4. What's your favorite on the run food?
Oh gosh, everyone's going to be judging me. Tuna, a can of tuna.
That's healthy. I like that. Are you mixing it with something, or are you just going straight out of the can?
Straight.
Wow, that's impressive.
I'm hardcore.
That is very hardcore.
I just need water nearby for that dry tuna fish.
That works. That works. Rapid fire question number 5. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
Oh, I would say travel blogger, travel influencer, something like that. Love to travel, so I can share my experiences with people.
That's awesome. Then we'll be pitching you.
Exactly. That's right. I need a PR representative.
Jennifer, this has been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you online.
Thank you. I would say our website, evolveprandmarketing.com, as well as on the social platforms, but the website's got those links too. So evolveprandmarketing.com.
Sounds good. We'll put all those links in the show notes. Thanks again, Jennifer, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.